Hi, welcome to the Chad Bozarth Show. Thanks for listening. Dorie, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course.
I am so excited and amped to get to talk to a legit stand-up comic. I had a chopped salad, ice cream with cookie dough in it, and now I'm drinking peach Bellini sparkling water, so I am ready to go.
How fun. Okay. I wish I had the same over here, but I have a Diet Coke. I see your whatever, Papalini and Diet Coke is my thing. It's my jam.
So if I had ice cream after a salad, does that still count as lunch or is that dessert?
Oh, I mean, it's dairy and it's a food group. So I
I was
count.
I was watching your bread stand-up bit the other night. Actually not the other night, yesterday. Like that's not the other night. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Um, I have to tell you, I had this really funny friend growing up, and when he would come over to my house, I really wanted him to be funny so that I could show him to my mom how funny he was. And it just never worked out that way. And it's like I wanted to tell him, all right, be funny. And
Be funny. No
I
pressure.
promise I promise I won't do that to you, but be funny.
Okay. Okay. No pressure. I'll put it on. Yes. This is, you know what? It's funny because even when I call, like when I'm doing some, booking myself, I'll talk to someone on the phone, and there is pressure. Like I got to be funny on that call, but it's hard because you're talking about hotel reservations, and there's nothing super funny about that. But you're like, okay, they expect it, so I put it on for sure.
Do you feel pressure to be funny? Like, are you the type of person that when you walk into a room, like even going back years, did you feel like you wanted to make people laugh?
I do love it. In fact, my friends and I, we joke about how I have some comedian girlfriends and it's fun. And we talk about how for some reason we'll go to like a doctor's appointment and feel like the need to to put on a mini show for the receptionist, or like I just feel like, I actually like was a what do you call it, cashier at a grocery store. That was like my first job. And I felt like those were like my mini like open mics. Like I was just like, okay, we're gonna make this person laugh, we're gonna get this person I had that 60 seconds to like win them over, and be fun and funny. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't see it coming. My family did, but I did not see this coming. So, yeah.
Do you just walk up to strangers and start trying to strike up a conversation?
Okay, probably not as much that, but if I'm in the situation where I'm, like in an elevator, it is brutal for me to stand there quietly. Like I feel like I need to talk to someone. Like the air, the silence, the pressure to speech is what I call it. But like, but also to be funny in that moment. Like, what could I say that would make them laugh? And yeah, it's weird how, yeah, it's a bizarre anomaly.
So let me ask you this. So I have done open mic night a couple of times, two or three times at the
Awesome.
DoubleTree Hotel off of 75 in Dallas. I don't know if they still do it.
I think there was, I don't know, I have not gone, but there was one there. I was there at one point, but not, I think I just watched at that one. I don't know if I went up. Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, well, that's what I wanted to ask you. So I wanted to do that because it just kind of scared. Like, I can be funny, like if I'm sitting in a conversation and I just wait for a moment, but like to actually walk up on stage and you have an allotted time period,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like, okay, you be funny for the next 3 to 5 or whatever minutes,
Yeah.
go. That's something different than just, cracking a joke randomly in a
Right.
conversation or
Yes.
how, you're a legit stand-up comic. How did you get started in that? How do you do that?
Good question on the rip right there. No, I am. So it was weird. I actually had two kids already. So I was a mom. And I came into it a way different way. Like I did not go to open mics. I didn't even know about stand-up comedy that much because we didn't grow up being allowed to watch like things like Saturday Night Live. I mean, we weren't allowed to watch, late night TV. We weren't up. I mean, part of it was we weren't up, but I was in a very, like some people say, oversaved household, which I loved. But it was it was like there were shows that were off limits and I just thought comedy was something you did in a back kind of, dark late place in a club that, you know, like that bad things like, you know, happen, alcohol
Yeah.
and things like, you know, and I just grew up like that. But so I didn't know there was even a place where I could do something like this and, you know, use it for ministry even, you know, that's just beyond me. And so I ended up never pursuing that like professionally, but I was always intrigued by it. I always wanted like Seinfeld and like just the different comedians, clean comedians. I was like, oh my gosh, this you can do it clean. It's amazing. But over the years, but when I went to this women's ministry, it's like a retreat with our church. I was I went up for prayer at the end and just kind of asked the Lord, like, what do you want from me? Like, you know, just is there something I should be doing besides, you know, obviously being a mom, which is a full-time job. But I felt like the Lord just said, hey, when you can do that speaking thing that a long time ago, someone had kind of prophesied over me that I would be speaking like a mouthpiece for the Lord. And I was like, well, Lord, no one's asked me. You can't just walk onto stages here on earth and get arrested, obviously. But I said, so no one asked me. And I felt like the Lord's answer was just say yes. That's your only responsibility. Like, I'm going to open the doors. You just give them your yes. And I thought, I'm off the hook. Like, no one's going to ask me to do this. Yeah, without any kind of, you know, prompting or whatever. And so the next morning at the same retreat, Chad, same retreat, this, my women's ministry director comes up to me, just walks right up to me and says, Dorie, I heard you had the ladies up laughing last night. I want you to be the entertainment speaker at our next women's conference. And this was 2006. This was not nowadays where there is that kind of a, you know, like a market. There was nothing going on like that. I didn't even know what that was. And I didn't even remember to say yes. I said, I'll pray about it, which is really Christian for no, let's be honest. But on the way home, I
That
realized
can be the title of your next stand-up special. I'll pray about it or something like that.
that's true. I'll pray about it. You know what that means. Yeah. And then on the way home, it hit me. I went, oh my gosh, I was supposed to say yes. So I called her up. I said, oh, I was supposed to say yes to that. I said yes. And luckily, 6 months, it was not till for 6 months, this retreat, this conference, I mean. And that 6 months was crazy. I would hold, like, I'd have like a pen and paper around me all the time. And I would even wake up laughing about something and write it down. Like God literally was like, I had to do 30 minutes my first time ever on stage.
Wow.
Yeah. Didn't know that's like not a thing. You don't do that. Yeah. 30 minutes in front of like 200 people. Like it was a pretty big conference. And it went amazing, which it should not have. It should have never gone well. And not like I've not since bombed, but it was God knew if I had bombed on that stage, there was never, I would not be coming back to it. So he let that one do amazing. And yeah, and then after that, it was just word of mouth. I made myself a cruddy website at the time because I couldn't actually design websites, but I just taught myself how to do it. And I actually went into a mall and took my pictures in one of those photo booths with a fake microphone to use as my like website photos. Like that was I just had no money. And so I was like, I'm just gonna do that. And God just has opened the doors since 2006 to be I mean, I do this full time. I don't do anything else. Maybe it's because I'm not good at anything else, but I also just know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel called to do this. And so it's been a ride. It's been a wild ride.
Can you let me in on the conversation with your husband? Like, was there a conversation? Was it like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be a stand-up comic. Like, can you let me behind the scenes on that a little bit?
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know, Brian is so supportive of everything I do. He thought it was funny because my family and even, you know, like he saw it, and my sisters, my family, they were like, yeah, this makes total sense. And I was like, this does not make sense to me. But I, you know, at the time, he probably wasn't signing up for what if he knew the whole story, maybe he'd be like, what in the world? But it was like, you know, just I'm going to do this thing. And it was crazy how God does, you know, and he always knew I was going to be doing some kind of thing on stage. And it was kind of, I guess in my private life, it was obvious that I was loved to, you know, entertain and laugh and like even growing up, like we would be. it was always dinner and a show. Like we would be sitting at dinner and
Mm.
it was like someone was always getting up and telling a funny story. Always. It was actually more, it was better if you brought home a funny story than an A plus on a test. Like my family just, that was like what was the thing. And so my husband, I think, saw that part of it. Like, hey, this is, and he was super, I mean, he was like, "What you're gonna do?" Like, but there was nothing in him that was like, "You're not, no, this is not, right." Or in fact, he went away on a retreat of his own, like a personal retreat, and he came back with a suitcase for me and said, "God told me you're gonna use this suitcase to travel around the world and do this." And
Wow.
maybe say country, but anyway, you're gonna travel and do this. And I just was like, he had more faith in me than I had faith in me. Yeah, so there was not, he was pretty awesome, to be honest. So,
Was there ever, I repeat this story like way too much, so it might annoy certain people, but I always talk about how, like, when you're first getting started as an actor and you meet somebody in the party, you're like, okay, should I tell them I'm an actor or not? Because if I tell them, then they're gonna be like, well, what have I seen you on? Anyway, I apologize to
right.
anybody who's heard me tell that story a million times, but
I
so my
heard that.
question is, uh, what was that transition like for you? Like, when did you start telling people that you were a stand-up comic? Did you feel pressure when you finally started answering that way, or what did that look like?
So I avoided it, to be honest, because I think there is that pressure. Like if you say you're a stand-up comedian, it's like tell us a joke. I mean, it's immediate. Like change, shift in the conversation, you are on. And I'll even kick Brian under the table if he just throws it out there in a conversation. Like if we're just having dinner with somebody that we don't know that well, and he's just like, my wife's a stand-up comedian, and he knows like he is in trouble because I am going to now have to carry the conversation in a funny way. Like it's like, I love it. I mean, I actually do it anyway, but the pressure's off. But if you say you do this professionally and it's like, well, and then you kind of, then it's the pressure. But I don't mind. It's fine. Now I'm like, whatever. But I probably avoided it for a long time because I just didn't want people to also think, what do what have you been doing? Or what, because in the beginning, I was doing it sporadically. I wasn't like, I kind of cringe sometimes when someone asks me how long I've been doing it because technically it's been 19 years. But like
Hmm.
these people that have been on the road, road comics that are just doing like 10 shows a week because they'll go
Hmm.
bouncing to club to club to club to club. I mean, to me, that's not what I was ever doing. So I feel like it wasn't the same experience level of someone. If they were doing that for 19 years, I should be a lot further along if I was, if I was doing that for like that. But there were years where I was definitely prioritizing my children, but I was always active. Like I was always, it was funny because there was only one time in those 19 years where I didn't have something on my calendar coming up at all. Like it was like I did an event and realized I don't know when my next event is. Like I don't have one. And I thought, can I still call myself a comedian? I don't like, am I working? Because there's not, but it was like that was like one time in the 19 years that I haven't had something consistently. Like I just kept opening doors that I should not have even been on some of these stages. Like it was like where because it just I think it's such a niche, like a female Christian comedian. There's not that many of us, of us. So like I was put on stages that I probably was like, why are you here? Like just in front of like large crowds like that I wasn't really ready for probably, but God kind of was merciful in a lot of the situations. So, but
Hmm.
it's not like people now have so much access to comedy that it is hard
Hmm.
because you get this expectation like, oh, you're gonna see Leanne Morgan up here, like you're gonna see,
I
Nate.
love her. She is hilarious.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I love her so much. I wish I
Yeah.
knew her personally. I feel like everyone does feel like they know her personally, I think, but she just,
Oh,
but
she's
yeah, so
fantastic.
I think though, that's the expectation, like, because people like see, like they consume comedy, so it's like,
Hmm.
oh, but we have a good time. And I feel like in person, the audiences I'm in front of, I really get to enjoy each other. Like we have a great time, and
Yeah.
so it's been great that way. I
How do
don't
you
remember the
person?
question. I'm sorry. I just,
No, no, that's so good. So how do you personally how do you determine what success is? Like, is it hard? Like, do you find yourself comparing yourself with other people? Like how did, and it is such a niche, like how do you determine what success looks like for you personally? Is it on a one show level or is it a bigger picture thing? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's good. I definitely think there's a struggle of comparison among like just I mean everybody, but like in this business, like there is a struggle of like, not yeah, comparing someone else's success story to your success story, but it's really like different for everybody. So it's like I have to remind myself of that. And also one of my morning affirmations is I am a cheerleader for the success of others. And
Mm,
I just want to cheer people on, especially in Christian comedy, because really I believe it's such a ministry. And so I want like the more the better, the more the merrier in the but at the same time, there's that voice in the back of your head, like, oh, like I wish I was, that sounded really nice over there. I wish that was happening for me or whatever. But I just, what, I realize that God is really my he validates my call, not anyone else, not LA or um I don't know other place like other comics. I don't know, like I don't like I need to just rely on the Lord for my validation or it just gets ugly. But I also think success is hard to determine because it's like there's so much that you could shoot for and do and I don't know that like I've never had this dream of being on a sitcom, but I wouldn't say no if God opened the door for that. I think I'm a
mm,
horrible actress, to be honest. I don't know how you do that, Chad. I don't, because I am so awkward on camera. Like when you said this was not visual, I was like, yes, because I am terrible. I don't know. I have to actually hide myself on camera because I look weird. Anyway, but I think that there's so many things you can do with social media followers. You can do, the route of just, doing a large audience. I mean, there's just so many different levels of what you can be doing with it. And I just honestly I think I boiled it down to lately that I would like to make the biggest splash with my life for the Lord in this capacity and whatever that means, and like have it just ripple out to as far as it can reach. So if that means I'm more active on social media because that's where people are. Or if it's like I'm put on, I'm doing it more often or on bigger stages, whatever it needs to happen. If God wants to use something like a sitcom, that'd be awesome. But that's really that has not even been on my list. I mean, it's terrifying to be honest. But I think that God has opened some crazy doors for me to be on some amazing, just amazing places and in front of large crowds where I'm standing backstage and I'm looking at God. And I'm like, I get to do this? Like, we're doing this? Like, what is this, Lord? You are so good to me. And every time I'm backstage, I always say, I give you my yes. I just give you my yes right now to this room, this moment. And I say something like, I want to give joy, not try to get laughs, because that's another like
mm,
like trying to like really, is it about you and getting the most laughs, or is it about really bringing joy to the room and being a conduit of God's joy for these women, and I do specifically love like women, doing it for women. I do other, like I do mixed audiences too, but I feel a special call to lift up and encourage women. So yeah, so a lot of my events are women based, and I'm on some tours that do like a worship leader and Bible teacher, Bible speaker, and then comedy. And I think it's just such an incredible mix because comedy is just opens hearts and God just fills it with, the it's just a good mix of all the things. So I know what
that's so
success.
good. Yeah, no, it's a struggle. How do you navigate like the comedy world? Um, like, do you consider yourself a Christian comedian or a comedian who's a Christian or a clean comedian? Like, how do you navigate that? And then especially with comedy, I mean, just being honest, I think I'm nicer and hopefully more, I don't know, sanctified than I used to be. But like, sometimes something that'll be pretty funny will pop into my head and it's like, oh. I can't say that. I need to run this through a couple filters first and
Yeah.
then say the third thing that and so it's like, maybe if I was more sanctified, the initial thought wouldn't even come to my head. But the point that I'm making is, how do you
Yeah.
navigate that as a comedian where, like you said, going for joy instead of laughs? It's easy to go for a cheap laugh saying something inappropriate, right? But like how do you how do you do that?
I think that I do identify myself as a Christian comedian, only because well, not only because I do feel like it's bigger than clean comedy for me. It's
Mm,
about it really is a ministry to me. And so I don't mind the label, even though it might close doors in some other ways. I'm like, I don't care. Like this is what I'm called to do. So if that's gonna, if they're like, well, you should leave more, God out of some of this, then I'm just not for you. Like that's just I'm not supposed
mm.
to be there. And I think too, I actually was such a goody two shoes, Chad, like my whole life. So I don't even, and it's funny how naive I am in a lot of ways that my husband's like, I don't even know, where were you this whole time? Like, because so I don't even think, like, the cheap joke doesn't even pop into my head. Like, it doesn't even surface. Like, kids in middle school used to try to pay me to swear. Like, they'd be like, I'll pay you to say a swear word. And I wouldn't do it. Like, I was like, no, I never do. I have now, not that I'm perfect in that area since middle school, but I'm saying like that's just not my MO. Like it doesn't come out all the time or anything like that. I think it is hard if someone is living a life that's like kind of different. There's a lot of people trying to be clean now that are not clean in their lives or
Mm,
other acts that because it is if you can work clean, you can work a lot more because
mm.
it opens the doors to a lot of corporate work that you couldn't do if you were not clean. So there are people that are trying to be clean that even though they think they are, like you're like, whoa, like that's still, and it definitely will not make it on a Christian stage. And like you just know, like, so I think part of it is just I mean, a lot of my comedy comes from my life. So it's not something like I'm sitting there thinking about like what could be funny. It's like I'll just be talking to friends and we'll be laughing about something. And I'm like, oh, I've got to write that down. That's funny. Well, I'll think about
Yeah.
that later. And so it ends up being stuff that is so, my friend calls it bubblegum comedy. And I think my husband would like it if I was a little more edgier. Like he'll say something and I'm like, babe, have you ever watched my comedy? And not that it's inappropriate, but it's just like a little bit like not mean, a little sarcastic. And I'm like, I'm not even sarcastic. And so I'm like, like, babe, you're gonna have to do your own comedy set. We've been joking about that lately, where I'm like, I think I'm gonna put you on some platforms like Gig Salad and all these things where people can book you, and you can have your own comedy set. Like you can put that in that because I can't use it because I would never say that. But so I think he enjoys comedians that are a little more dry and like a little edgy, and I just have zero edge. I think I'm a big round bouncy ball of comedy. So gumball, really. But yeah, so I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm totally fine with that. Like I know, like it's not. So some of it doesn't come to me, but I do get upset when something happens where I'm like, that wouldn't be me at all, or it wouldn't be on my, I would not even say this,
Mm.
but it's funny. It is funny, but I'm like, okay, I'll tell my mom, or like it's nothing inappropriate, but just something that you're just like, that's probably not something a bunch of ladies would like to talk about right now. So
Yeah.
okay, I'm just gonna leave that out. But yeah. So it's pretty easy for me to navigate because it's not an inner struggle for me to like, say those things, but it's like I get it. I get why there'd be funny things that would happen that you're just like, I can't use that. Good things,
Yeah.
Judge. Use the filters.
Yeah. No, that's good. Now I'm sitting here feeling bad like, "Oh man, I that's nice that she doesn't have to use filters like I'm."
Oh gosh, I hope I wasn't. I didn't mean like that. I just
No,
meant
no, not at all. No, it's
I
so
was a
good.
big geek. I never I didn't drink or I like do drugs, like nothing from my past is like there to like I don't even watch horror movies. My husband's like, what is up I'm like, I don't know what's up here. Like there's nothing bouncing around in my head that's like gonna come out like that. So anyway, I'm making myself sound
No.
like I'm just really a nerd.
No, not at all. No, I appreciate it. It's actually that was a great answer. I really appreciate it. Let me ask you this. I find in life, like if I am in just a real life situation and I say something that I think is hilarious to somebody and they don't think it's funny, I tend to think that that's funny, that they didn't think I was funny. That being said, I would not want to have that experience on stage in front of like a lot of people.
Exactly.
So, have you ever like just totally bombed on stage before?
Oh, Chad, I have bombed so hard. I have fun. And luckily a lot of it, okay, I will say a lot of it is situational. I try to tell myself that anyway. If I can sleep at night, I can tell myself like that was not my fault, but it sometimes it is my fault. But like sometimes like one time I did an event and I realized later I should never have been in that event. And it was at Six Flags. It was at Six Flags outside in this corporate area, picnic tables it was a foster family event and there were kids running around everywhere. There's an amusement park. You don't need a comedian. And I didn't see it coming. And I just and Brian was like, you should do it. And so I was like, all right. And there was even a face painter and like balloon artist. I'm like, this is you guys don't need me. But I still had to get up and there was no stage. And I just stood there with a microphone and Brian said at one point it looked like I was in the ice cream line. He's like, it didn't, like I was not even on stage. And I just was talking to a group of people sitting at picnic tables who were all talking to each other. And it was so awkward. And there was a roller coaster. It was right like next to this area that would go off I had to wait and stop and just wait for it to go and do its thing and then keep going. I mean, it was so brutal. Yeah, and at one point it got stuck and all the audience ran over to see it. And so I was like, it was like a 40-minute set. Like it was the longest they had contracted me for like 40 minutes and I had to fill it. Like I have to fill my contract. So I'm just standing up there like we're just gonna be really bad. So yeah, so I've had that kind of stuff happen. I did a lot of nursing homes, like circuit when I did the circuit of nursing homes.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that. The nursing home circuit.
yeah, it's big.
I love that.
Well, it's funny because like they would bill it like it was a retirement community, but then I get there and I'm like, clearly, like there's a lot of oxygen tanks and it's fine, but like they're not awake. Like they're not like this is so hard. And but God used, I loved it. There's some sweet, sweet people in those places. I just dear people, but I just was like, this was a little bit more difficult of a start than I was looking for. But yeah, so you do it if you but I bombed in front of people in nursing homes for sure.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. So speaking of bombing,
Mhm.
how did you handle, so I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I would love to watch it, but I saw that you had like your own dry bar comedy special.
Yes.
So what was that like? Like you have a set time, you know it's going to be recorded. It's like there's already pressure doing stand-up comedy, but like did you feel extra pressure doing that? Was there, if you say something and you just know it didn't work, can you like say cut, let's roll that back? Like how what was that experience like?
Oh my gosh. I wish I was better at it because it is so hard. It was so much pressure. I was so nervous. I want to I want to wear a nice outfit, which I don't know why, but I actually thrifted something, which it was like, why did I do that? Why didn't I just spend some money? Like you would think if you have a television appearance, you're like, hey, maybe I don't know, invest in something that's new and not something at a thrift store. But whatever. It looked crazy on camera. Anyway, I look like a golden marshmallow. If you see there's like I'm wearing like I just am yeah a gold marshmallowy looking jacket.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it with my
Oh,
wife because we
definitely.
love watching stand-up comedy. So,
It's hard to watch back, to be honest. You can be it's pretty brutal for me to watch it, but and I will say that my daughter had the stomach flu before I left, and my husband and I flew out to Utah and I was fine. And then that night in Utah, I was deathly ill, like all night long, did not sleep. I in the bathroom, like my husband was like, we're calling it. Like I'm gonna call him in the morning. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't like, and so I was like laying on the floor of the bathroom in this hotel. And Brian's like, I'm calling them. I'm like, no, like you cannot, because if you do, they'll never have me back. And I will owe a lot of money because you can't like cancel, you know? And I was like, I have to do it. And I took all day to just get myself ready because I would do like I put on like I'd brush my hair and then I'd take a nap. I would do I would just lay I could it was the worst sickness I've ever had in my life. And I had to go. And I mean, and God to intervene because I couldn't like to have been able to put out what I put out was a miracle because there's no way. Like if you had looked at me an hour before I got there and like what happened on stage, it was like magic, like it was miraculous. So, and that's, I try to give that excuse also because if you hate it, there you go. I was I was sick.
No, see now, to be honest with you, now I have even higher expectations because Michael Jordan had like one of the best games of his life after having like some stomach deal. So, yeah, so my expectations are actually higher now that I know that
Good.
you were sick leading up to it. So,
That's not good.
yes.
I know. And then I'm like, it's a miracle. Well, now I really put a lot of pressure on it. Yeah, but it was crazy because we had to actually perform two shows and some commercial spots before. So it wasn't just the one show, it's two different audiences so that they can like blend things if they want to do different,
Uh,
if something doesn't go as well, like, they can kind of fix it, but it's not really like there's not a lot of, I mean, but it's just in case it
Interesting.
totally blows up, they can edit it or whatever. But yeah, so I had to do the commercial spots. I met these two comedians that did the show with us, with me, like because it was like a guy, two guys and me, so it's two guys and a girl, and we each did, I think, about 20, maybe 5 minutes, 20, I think it was about 20 minutes each, yeah, and and then um and then we broke, for like an hour or two, ate a little something, they had food. I had nothing. And then I went to the next, and then you have another show to do right after that. And it was good. It was like the audiences were warm and amazing. The staff there was incredible. I just was a nervous wreck. Like it was, I don't, the pressure of doing that, I had to pretend there was not cameras everywhere. I had to just focus on the people in the room and like we're having a good time. Even though they tell you kind of not to do that, like they say, like look like you're looking, because they don't want it to look where you're just looking down at the crowd the whole time. So I'm trying to like, listen to that too. But it was I'm just, yeah, I don't know if I'm made for TV. I did that and I had actually done the Huckabee show years before, maybe a year or two before that. And it was I mean, I'm just a nervous wreck. My body doesn't like it, apparently. I'm always it's like I get sick or I get like it just, yeah, I think I drive myself into like a frenzy of, yeah, like, yeah, nerves and yeah. So I'm not sure I'm cut out for it actually, but it happened and I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it did. But yeah,
uh,
it's much back. It is hard. I have so many critiques on myself. It's hard to, and they put a lot of makeup on me because I think I was so deathly pale. So I feel like I'm unrecognizable, which actually is great if I don't like I'm like, yeah, I don't know if that's me or not. But no, I shouldn't say such negative things. I was glad for the opportunity and we had a great time. The audience was amazing and yeah, glad it happened.
uh, that's awesome. Well, you're not just a stand-up comic, you are an author. So tell me about your book, Hope Look Good. Hope. Hello. Can't read. I have it here on a note. Hope looks good on you, a comedian's joy-inducing daily devotional for women. So are you telling me that I can't read this book?
I was thinking that too. I was like, I should say, even from the platform, sometimes after my show, I'll say something about like guys can read it. It just maybe they won't understand some of the, like just a lot of it's very women, yeah, women issues. You definitely can read it, Chad. You'll
Okay.
enjoy it. So, but yeah, it's just directed at women, but just women issues, a lot of anxiety and like stress and momhood and wifehood and all that thing. So I think that's why I directed it to women. But yeah, so yeah, author, I ran from that for a while too, where the Lord was like, "You're supposed to be doing this," and COVID actually birthed this book. I mean, out of all the
Oh,
things,
wow.
it's because for all comedians, everything shut down, like all the shows, all the
Mhm.
things, and it was suddenly like you have a lot of free time, and I was like, God was like, "It's time to write this book," and I said, "I don't know if you know this, Lord, but I've been in a pretty bad mood this year, and so I am like." Do not want to write a book on hope Why would I do that?
Now I
Well,
definitely want to read it. It's for people who have anxiety and
yeah,
you wrote it in a bad mood. So like,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
this is excellent.
Yeah, it's so true. It came out of a bad place. But I had started this book. It's funny because I had written one of the stories I wrote back in Napa. So I'm trying to think when I was like, uh, well, over 10 years before I published it. I just wrote it as an article. And so it's in a long process, but I pumped out the rest of the book during COVID and released it on April Fool's Day because I thought that'd be fun. And then Amazon had a different joke, their own April Fool's joke when they said it's not ready yet and didn't release it till late that day. So I was like, I thought people were going to think I'm joking that I have a book, and then the joke was on me. So I had to be like, no, it really is a book. It was not a joke. And then I had to, yeah. But then it came out later that day, thank God. And I released it, and it was so crazy because when I was on an airplane on my first booking back from COVID, my first booking at that, I had the printed book with me. I was going to North Dakota and I was on the flight, and the flight was the worst flight of my life. Like the flight, I thought we're going to die. Like it was the turbulence. People were crying. It was
Oh
the
my
worst
goodness.
flight. And I was like, Lord, you told me to write this book. Like, please, like let me live and get there. And I try and I actually had a really severe fear of flying at one point, and the Lord told me that I can't have this fear. So I told myself I'm not allowed to be afraid. I don't care. Like it's so I said, Lord, I'm not afraid, but I could use, something to listen to while I go down if and so I was searching my phone for something that I could listen to, like worship music, and I had nothing downloaded. And this plane was so tiny, it had nothing like Wi-Fi or anything. And so I looked at my voice memos, and I had my AirPods in, and I was like looking at these voice memos, and I found one, just randomly click on it. And it is this is kind of make it shorter story. There was a group of ladies who prophesied over me at an event 5 years prior. And this was the recording of what they had prophesied over me and prayed over me in that meeting 5 years prior. And I had never listened to it. I'd only recorded it. And I just happened to find it, click on it. And in that recording, the prophecy was talking about like, just praying over me that I would write a book and then it would bring hope to women around the world. And I was sitting there bawling. Then I knew I was going to make it as well. I was like, thank you, Jesus. I'm going to make it. And then I was like, I cannot believe that I happened to listen to this confirmation of everything he's told me to do on this flight that I thought I was going to die on. And while I had the first batch of my books to give at the to sell, not give. I mean, come on, no, just kidding. I do give out some books, but no, I sell them too at my events. And but here I am carrying them, and the Lord's like, let me remind you of why you did this, and it was just so beautiful. So
Wow.
yeah. I am writing my second book, but I've been writing that since I like 2021 as well. Since I released this one, I'm like, Lord, I can't wait like 10 years between books. So I do need to finish this this year. But yeah, so I am working on my next book too. So that'll be good.
Oh wow. That is wild. That's awesome. Um, Dory, that is awesome.
I don't
Well,
even
let
know
me
if
ask you.
I'm any question. Yeah, you didn't even ask a question. I just was like blah, 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 about the book story, that story. But yeah, you just
No, that's perfect. That's so cool. Well, as we wrap up, let me ask you. I know your experience has been unique, but if somebody was listening and they wanted to be a stand-up comic, what would you tell that person?
oh good. So I love it. Um I would say to start writing stuff down that you might, that is funny, that you've been thinking or saying. Maybe you tell a story that kind of always, you bring out at to parties or something. Write it down. Start writing stuff down that's funny to you. Um, I think that there are resources out there. There's some great uh one of my friends does the School of Laughs is actually
Hmm.
it's actually a school online resource, but it's like they do classes and you can do them online or in person. I don't know if he's running the in person classes right now, but it's called the School of Laughs by Rick Roberts. And
Mm.
if anything, at least there's a ton of on his podcast resources and like on his YouTube channel. So there's like something like that. There's and he's a clean Christian comedian as well. And there's also a Christian Comedy Association. So there's actually,
Really?
yeah. So every year we get together, and the conference is so fun because it's a bunch of Christian comics all together, and the relationships that I have formed there and the bonds, I mean, have not just, I mean, from a standpoint of friendship has been invaluable, amazing, but also just God is just like we just root for each other. We open doors for each other. We refer each other. I'm on two tours because of those relationships right now. Like just God has just taken it from this solo, nothing, just me, my Lone Ranger comedy career to really seeing it as this amazing partnership with so many different other Christian artists. And so I feel like that is something like don't try to go it alone. Like see if you can get plugged in and also give God your yes. Say, God, where do you want? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to start? Is there somewhere I can that you put on my heart to go do and I'm not doing it? Because sometimes God doesn't talk to us about something new if we haven't done the thing that we're supposed to, like he already told us. He's like, I already told you. I already told you to do that thing and you didn't do that thing yet. So, what are you looking for? And I'm like, oh yeah. I'll give you my
Mm,
yes for that. So I think that, that's what I would tell someone to do.
mm. That's so good. Dory, where can we find you?
Well, I have my website is doriecomedy.com, and I spell with the IE at the end instead of the Y on Finding Dory. They spelled it wrong. That Finding Nemo movie. But it's Dorie comedy.com. And then I have like all the socials are Dory Comedy, same. So like at Dory Comedy. So like Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. TikTok, I'm on there, but very I'm terrible at it. So but anyway, there's all that stuff.
That's awesome. Dory, thank you for making people laugh and thank you for spending time sharing your wisdom with me. I really appreciate it. This was great.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor. Thank you.